Have you ever wondered what caused the cataclysmic World War I, a conflict that shaped our modern world? We often simplify World War I as a consequence of the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. However, this event was merely the spark that ignited a much larger powder keg. The roots of the conflict ran deep, entangled in a complex web of factors that had been brewing long before that fateful day in Sarajevo. To comprehend the origins of this devastating conflict, we must delve into the intricate geopolitical landscape of the early 20th century. Europe, at that time, was a cauldron of rising nationalism. Nations sought to assert their dominance, fueled by a sense of cultural superiority and a thirst for expansion. This fervor of nationalism was especially seen in the Balkans, where Slavic groups yearned for independence from their Austro-Hungarian rulers. Simultaneously, a web of alliances created a delicate balance of power. Mighty empires like Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy formed the central powers, while France, Russia, and Britain were bound together as the allies. Each alliance was a counterweight to the other, a safeguard against the threat of dominance by any single nation. But this balance was precariously maintained. The military buildup was rampant. Nations were locked in an arms race, stockpiling weapons and bolstering their armies. This intensification of militarism only added to the tension, creating a climate ripe for conflict. Then, on a summer's day in June of 1914, the Archduke of Austria-Hungary was assassinated by a Serbian nationalist. This act was the spark that lit the fuse. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, and the complex system of alliances sprang into action, pulling nation after nation into the fray. A single bullet in Sarajevo set the world on a path to war, but the roots of the conflict ran deeper. This conflict, which we now know as World War I, was not the result of a single event, but rather a culmination of rising nationalism, tangled alliances, and military buildup. Thus began a war that would forever alter the course of history. So what happens when a spark ignites a powder keg of tensions? A rapid series of war declarations. That's what. Imagine a set of dominoes meticulously lined up, each representing a nation teetering on the brink of war. The first domino to fall was Austria-Hungary. In the wake of Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassination, they declared war on Serbia on July 28, 1914. That single move set off a chain reaction that would engulf the world. Next to fall was Russia. Alarmed by Austria-Hungary's aggressive act, they declared war on Austria-Hungary on July 30th, in defense of their Slavic brethren in Serbia. But this wasn't just about protecting their kin. Russia also saw an opportunity to assert their dominance in the Balkans, an area they'd long coveted. Germany, allied with Austria-Hungary, was the third domino. They declared war on Russia on August 1st, and 2 days later declared war on Russia's ally, France. Germany's intention was to swiftly knock France out of the war before turning their full attention to Russia. However, their plan would prove to be far from straightforward. The fourth domino, France, was pulled into the conflict by their commitment to their Russian allies. Their declaration of war on Germany and Austria-Hungary on August 3rd showcased their determination to reclaim the territories lost during the Franco-Prussian War. The United Kingdom, the fifth domino, was initially hesitant to join the fray. But when Germany invaded neutral Belgium, a country the UK had sworn to protect, they had no choice but to declare war on Germany on August 4th. The United States, however, was the last major domino to fall. They maintained their neutrality until 1917, when unrestricted submarine warfare and the Zimmermann telegram pushed them to declare war on Germany. As nations chose sides, the stage was set for a global conflict unlike any seen before. This domino effect of declarations, fueled by tangled alliances and escalating tensions, would culminate in a war that would change the course of history forever. Behind every war there are leaders, strategists, and visionaries. World War I was no different. In the heart of Germany, we find Paul von Hindenburg, a man of astounding military acumen. A veteran of wars even before the outbreak of the Great War, Hindenburg's strategic prowess was a force to be reckoned with. His leadership at the Battle of Tannenberg is still regarded as one of the most decisive victories in military history. Hindenburg, with his calm demeanor and strategic mind, steered Germany through some of the most tumultuous times of the war. Across the Channel, we meet Britain's Sir Douglas Haig, Though a controversial figure, his role as a commander-in-chief of the British Expeditionary Force cannot be underestimated. Haig's decision to persist with the Battle of the Somme, despite heavy casualties, was a testament to his unwavering belief in the war's cause. His relentless pursuit of victory in the face of overwhelming odds would come to define Britain's war effort. In the land of the French, we find Ferdinand Foch, a man whose leadership was instrumental in coordinating the Allied forces. Foch's understanding of warfare and his strategic use of railways for troop movement were integral to the war's outcome. His ability to unite and direct multinational forces was a key factor in the eventual success of the Allied powers. These leaders, each unique in their approach, played pivotal roles in the unfolding of the First World War. Their decisions, their strategies, and their unwavering commitment in the face of adversity helped shape the course of the war. They navigated the tumultuous waters of conflict, guiding their nations through the darkest of times. Their actions, their influence, their guiding hands were not just felt during the war but continued to resonate long after the guns fell silent. They left indelible marks on their nations and on the world stage. Their legacies serve as reminders of the human capacity for leadership and strategic thinking, even amidst the chaos of war. These leaders, with their strategies and decisions, would steer the course of the war and, in many ways, the course of history. In the end, World War I was a conflict of staggering cost and consequence, but what did it all mean? The aftermath of the war was as complex as its causes. The dissolution of empires, the birth of new nations, and the redrawing of boundaries marked a seismic shift in the global power structure. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in June of 1919, officially ended the war. But rather than fostering peace, it sowed the seeds for future conflict. The treaty was harsh, particularly towards Germany. It assigned full blame for the war to the Central Powers and imposed heavy financial reparations. The German people, already suffering from the war's devastation, were left humiliated and impoverished. This collective resentment would later be exploited by Adolf Hitler, setting the stage for World War II. And Germany was not the only nation grappling with the consequences of World War I. The war had shaken the foundations of several empires. The Ottoman, Russian, German, and Austro-Hungarian empires crumbled, giving way to new nations and altering the geopolitical landscape. In the Middle East, the fall of the Ottoman Empire led to the creation of several new states. However, the arbitrary borders drawn by victorious powers, disregarding ethnic and religious divisions, planted seeds for conflicts that continue to this day. In Russia, the war ignited the spark of revolution. The Tsar was overthrown and replaced by a communist government, marking the birth of the Soviet Union and the beginning of the Cold War era. World War I also marked a significant shift in global power from Europe to the United States. The US emerged from the war as a major world power, both economically and militarily. This shift in power would have profound implications for the 20th century and beyond. World War I reshaped the world, but its echoes would be heard even louder in the decades to follow. The war was a cataclysmic event that not only defined a generation, but also set the stage for the conflicts and tensions of the 20th century. With so much to unpack, let's recap the key points about World War I. This cataclysmic conflict, the Great War, was born out of a tangled web of alliances, rivalries, and simmering tensions. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in June of 1914 was the spark that ignited the powder keg of Europe, setting off a chain reaction that would engulf the world in war. Each nation had its reasons for entering the fray. The Central Powers sought to uphold their alliances and expand their empires. Germany, with its burgeoning industrial might, saw an opportunity to assert its dominance on the world stage. Austria-Hungary, still reeling from the assassination, sought to quell the rising tide of nationalism within its borders. The Allies, too, had their motivations. Britain, with its vast empire, was drawn in by a sense of duty to protect Belgium's neutrality, a commitment made in the Treaty of London, while France, still smarting from its loss in the Franco-Prussian War, saw a chance for revenge and to recover its lost territories. The war was marked by the deeds of exceptional military leaders on both sides. Men like Paul von Hindenburg, who led the German forces to victory at the Battle of Tannenberg, and Ferdinand Foch, the French marshal who coordinated the successful Allied counteroffensive in the war's final year, stood out for their strategic acumen and leadership. But it's impossible to talk about World War I without acknowledging its devastating impact. The war claimed the lives of over 16 million people and reshaped the political landscape of the world. Empires crumbled, new nations emerged, and the seeds for another global conflict were sown. World War I may have ended over a century ago, but its ripples are still felt today. It's a stark reminder of the cost of conflict and the price of power.